Ah, Spirit Tracks, how I love thee. So, this game is set to come out in this fall for the Christmas season. Now, a lot of people want to know more about the game, but, we know a lot more facts than I think people know. If you really dissect these trailers, there's a lot of information in them. So first, let's start with the obvious stuff that we know. Obviously, it uses cel-shaded graphics again. It takes place in the same universe as Wind Waker and Phantom Hourglass. However, it's official that this game takes place 100 years after Phantom Hourglass. I mean, technically that makes it a sequel, but, I mean, give or take if you want to really call that a sequel. But it's obviously going to have a strong connection to Phantom Hourglass, considering the fact that Phantoms, which were those night enemies in the Temple of the Ocean King in the last game, are now controllable in this game. How that's possible, I'm not really sure, but I think I have a good idea, which I'll explain in a second. So obviously, there's another thing I just said right there. As you can see right here, you can now control Phantoms. You can make them go through fire, walk through lava, attack enemies, solve puzzles, blah blah blah, all types of stuff. As you can see right here, you can use them to distract each other while Link does his business. Now, the other main obvious thing, as soon as this trailer starts, is the fact that you don't have a boat anymore. In fact, you don't have a horse or anything. Instead, you have a train, and look at Link with his little conductor suit. Oh, isn't he cute? Well, a lot of fans aren't happy about the train. Now, at first, I thought that it was an odd idea, but now that I know more about how the train works, I think it can work really well. And I don't think people are really aware of it. People are afraid that you won't have that exploration element in Zelda anymore, but don't worry about that, because no, it's okay, it's true. You don't get to draw the tracks or control where you go. You're on a set track now, but what happens now is that the train works like one giant puzzle, in that, you can see the entire track on the top screen. Now, on the top screen, you can also see all the other trains that are riding at the same time, as well as every, fork in the road coming up. So based on the direction of the movements of other trains, the speed they're moving at, and where you're heading to, you have to decide what's the best track to go on and at what speed. Otherwise, you're going to crash into another train, which means death. So it's not like Phantom Hourglass or Wind Waker, where you just kind of sat back and relaxed till you got to your destination. You're constantly thinking and wondering about what to do. So in that sense, I think it's going to be better. As you can see right here, this is the second trailer, and it shows more puzzle-based things you can do with the Phantom. So overall, I think we've covered, basically all the stuff, basic facts that we know. Okay. So now it's time to get into the facts that maybe some people don't know. So the first main thing I noticed that I haven't heard from anyone else is how many items are in the game. Now, Phantom Hourglass had 7 items. That was the boomerang, bombs, bow and arrow, shovel, bomb chew, grappling hook, and hammer, all in all. So 7 items in total, with I think it was 7 dungeons are in the game, or maybe 8 if you count that. Well, that's not the point. There's a gameplay video on, I forgot what it is, but E3 gameplay, where someone opens up the inventory screen, and it shows, once again, 7 slots for items. So it's pretty safe to say that it's going to have the same amount of items as Phantom Hourglass, which would probably mean it's probably going to be just about the same length as Phantom Hourglass, in terms of how long it takes to beat it. We also seem to know the majority of those 7 items. I mean, in the first trailer, you can see that Link is holding a boomerang in his inventory, so there's the first item. We've seen, there has yet to ever be a Zelda game that does not have bombs and arrows, so I'm pretty sure we can assume that's going to be in this game also. So there's 3 items, boomerang, bombs, arrows. Plus, we've seen 2 new items in the 2 trailers that we have. We've seen the Whirlwind, which is the leaf-blowing fan thing, and Link's Indiana Jones whip thing, which I think is super cool, but kind of pointless considering it looks like it just works like a grappling hook, but oh well. And one other important thing to know is, in this video right here, you can see a little purple whistle icon in the lower left corner. You might have missed it. Now, I think that's going to be the main item of this game's version of Ocarina of Time, or, the Phantom Hourglass, like, those main items, or the Wind Waker. The reason I say that is because the Japanese name of this game is Legend of Zelda Train Whistle of the Earth. So obviously, that's probably that train whistle. It's probably connected to using the train and the Phantoms in some way. Oh, and also, I apologize if people are getting tired of seeing the same trail in the background over my voice, but anyway, back to the explanation. Also, by one of the Nintendo reps at E3, he said that in this game, Link is an apprentice conductor. Apprentice. That sounds like you're gonna have another Linebeck-esque character who's really the main conductor, while Link's just being trained, so... You know, that's kind of pushing it. We don't really know that for a fact, but the fact that he wanted to point out that he's an apprentice conductor makes me think that there's a teacher there somewhere to teach Link how to use this train, or at least let him borrow it. So there's another Linebeck character, probably somewhere. Oh yes, and one other little fact I forgot to mention is that also by a Nintendo rep, he said that every time you enter a dungeon, a phantom is there waiting for you, which means, you know, the phantom is no gimmick. He is in every dungeon and he is needed to solve every puzzle, so if you're not a fan of the whole phantom idea, sorry, it's here to stay for the entire game. That's basically, along with the train, one of the game's new gimmicks. You know, Wind Waker had you controlling wind, Ocarina of Time had you controlling time, this one has you controlling enemies, so get used to it, because it's here to stay. And now, going back to the discussion about the items and the 7 inventory system, in Phantom Hourglass, you were able to hold 2 potions at a time. There were no bottles in the game, you just bought a potion and so went into one of those 2 slots. And once again, in that video that shows the inventory, it shows 2 potion slots, so I'm pretty sure it's safe to assume that, once again, bottles won't be in the game, unfortunately. So that's something we're going to have to deal with. Also, the whirlwind item, the little green fan thing, you activate it by blowing into the microphone. It's not, you don't tap the screen, you only use the screen to direct its direction. So, I don't know. Apparently the mic is sensitive enough that you don't need to get your face into the game in order to do that. But the only other thing I think I can talk about is when you're riding the train, there are 2 different types of animals to deal with. There's the boars, which will attack your train the second they see it, and there's the cows that will be grazing on the track. Now, boars you want to attack, cows you don't want to attack. You know, boars you want to shoot with your cannon, but you don't want to shoot cows with your cannon. Instead, you want to blow your whistle and they'll get out of the way. So in addition to multitasking with trying to think of where all the trains are going and dodging them, and what track to be taking that's best, you gotta worry about what enemies you should be blowing whistles for and which enemies you should be throwing cannons for. So that's a nice way to multitask everything. So those are all the facts I now know. All that's left now is to talk about what I'm hoping is going to change for this game from Phantom Hourglass. There's a couple things that bothered me in Phantom Hourglass. One of the main things is that you no longer had a dungeon map or compass to look for you. The second you walked into a dungeon, you had a map already. And unfortunately, based on the demos, it looks like that's going to be the same way, but I'm hoping it's not, and I hope that changes. Also, what really bothered me that there were no heart pieces in the game. Come on, it's Zelda, it's an exploration game. Instead, there was just full heart containers, and there's only like 4 or 5 of them to find. It was just lazy. Not to mention that the full amount of life you could have had in Phantom Hourglass was 16 hearts instead of the typical 20. I know the original Zelda had 16 hearts, but you know, I'm used to the modern day 20. Don't give me 16. I mean, I'm hoping that changes also. And also, I know it's a real stretch. I shouldn't even mention it. I want magic power to come back, but yeah, I think magic is dead in the Zelda series. So with that, I think I could end this discussion. And any other facts you guys might have found in the trailers yourself, please make a comment about it below, and that way we can all figure out more about Spirit Tracks together.